Hello, basketball fans. It's me, DC, here for Fantasy Basketball Analyzer. Help break down Week 18, two-part week, the All-Star break week. Going to go through pace, defensive efficiency, some matchups. We'll talk a little bit about the second half of this week too, but we are just going to kind of focus on this one week like we normally do. Welcome in. Did your real NBA team shake things up with a trade? Most teams made some sort of trade. It was a pretty crazy day yesterday. Sorry I didn't get on. I wanted to do a live stream at 3 and some stuff came up with my family. If you're still interested in my thoughts on the draft, I don't know if it really makes sense to do draft on trade deadline. I don't know if it makes sense to do a video now if it's, not fresh enough to be instant reaction. If you're still interested in a video, leave in the comments. Maybe I can do something. Otherwise, I can just answer questions. Keith already hit me up, excited about his Philly team and curious what I thought of that. So either way you want to do it. But let's talk about Week 18, the first half. So when we're looking at pace and defensive efficiency, these teams haven't changed too much. Now, some stuff might after the deadline, but we don't have any data to go off of that yet. So best teams to go after: Houston, Sacramento, Charlotte. That is probably all the same. Portland, Orlando, San Antonio, Atlanta. Yep, probably same. If anything, San Antonio probably got a little easier attack without Derek White, although it's not going to change everything, but I do think that their defense is probably weaker because White's a pretty good defender. The teams you don't want to go after: Cleveland, Golden State, Miami, Boston. They're all down there. Boston probably strengthened their defense even more. Line up with White and Smart. It's going to be pretty annoying to be a guard playing that team when they're out there like that, I think. And then Dallas and Phoenix are on the edge. Dallas, it'll be interesting to see. Porzingis leaving. Does that affect Dallas's top-ranked defense practically? Does it improve it? Make it worse? I don't know. We'll see. That deal was a head-scratcher to me, but whatever. We take this stuff and we go apply it to the Week 18 schedule. All right, so Week 18, for fantasy terms, is the two-part week for All-Star break on most of the platforms. If not, this is still Week 18 of the NBA season, and it's a short week if your platform doesn't combine it. I'm not sure if there's any still out there like they do. If you are in one, let me know because I would be curious to know that. Anyway, we've got two teams with only one game. We got Cleveland and the Lakers. So in Weekly Lock League, you just can't play the guys. Even if they're, your superstars, they might just rest. Don't play those guys. If you've got a daily change, you're okay. We've got 6 teams with 3 games, which is definitely an advantage, unless you happen to be a player that rests on back-to-backs or something like that. But otherwise, 22 teams have 2 games. That is mostly the case and what you're going to see for this. Next week, Milwaukee and Orlando only have 1 game each. They're the only 2 teams that are like that. We only have 4 teams with 3 games. So again, most teams have 2 games. Luckily, none of the teams with 1 game have 1 on either side, or, and no one's got 3 on either side. So the max anyone gets to is 5 games for the combined week. In fact, why don't I show you that right now? So here's what the combined week looks like. So if you're trying to make some pickups right now and then hold someone throughout it, I don't think that's the most effective way to use it, but it's not bad. I mean, you can look at, say, Boston, who's got 2 games at the start and then 3 games in the next, and get your 5 like that. Brooklyn, you can see the handful of teams like that that have the green 5 here at the edge of the screen. If you want to go that way, great. But if you can make daily change, I think it's going to be worth to take a look at the streamers, because you might be able to get, say, in this first half of the week, right? Portland has 2 games, Milwaukee and Memphis, and then Philly's got 2 different games, Boston and Milwaukee. So you might be able to create a 4-game week there out of the 2-game teams, and then do the same on the second half, as long as you have enough waiver moves. And I think that's going to be a more effective use. It's worth noting this screen, this super schedule, if you will, that has the 2 weeks. I included this in the worksheet down below, where I always have that link for you. So there's an extra tab to show the super week if you're looking at both halves, whereas most of our stats and stuff focus on the single week like this. So the back-to-backs for this first half of Week 18, you can play any combination you want, right? We got Clippers in New Orleans have the Monday, Tuesday back-to-back. We got some Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back, some Wednesday, Thursday. So whichever way you want to do it, you can see that staggered staircase right there in the middle of the graphic if you take a look. There are some interesting situations, though, which takes us into our concern list of players, right? If you take a look, Boston only has 2 games, and yet they still ended up with a back-to-back. That's annoying, schedule makers. You guys couldn't spread that out. There's 4 days and 2 games. You couldn't figure that out? Whatever. So let's go through the list. Connolly, no back-to-back. Horford, yeah, he has a back-to-back. That's why I was just bringing it up. Embiid, no back-to-back. Lowry, no back-to-back. Eric Gordon, yes, Houston has a back-to-back. It's because they've got 3 games, so it's excusable in this case. But I also, since we're talking about Eric Gordon, if you still have him And since he didn't get moved off of Houston, and I'm a little surprised no playoff contender wanted to do it. I mean, maybe his money, maybe just roster spots. Maybe Houston was asking too much, but they shouldn't have. Does he get shut down for the year? He feels like the type of drop-off candidate. Houston's not trying to win. It's going to be tank time soon. I think he only helps them. They rest him all the time because of age and lingering injuries. It feels like Eric Gordon might get rested. If you have him, now's a good time. Try and move him before your fantasy trade deadline. Back to the list, Spencer Dinwiddie. No back-to-back, now in Dallas. He would have had one in Washington, but he also would have had 3-game week, so that would have been okay. And then Curry, Otto Porter, the Warriors that just kind of rest guys. No back-to-back. How about Kyrie? So they've got 3 games. One's on the road, but it's the Knicks. So I'm pretty sure he can't play there because it's still in the same city. So he's going to miss all 3 games this week. You get 0 out of 3 games for Kyrie in the first half of the week. And I went ahead and looked to the second half of the week. They only have 2 games on the other side of it. He could play the 1 road game against Milwaukee. So Brooklyn's got 5 games here. You get 1 game out of Kyrie for All-Star break. All right, switching over to streaming. I started talking about it a little early when I was showing like the super week, if you will. But there's a lot of ways to go about streaming. Monday and Wednesday are a little high. They got 9 and 11 games. So Tuesday and Thursday are really the days you want to attack. You want to find teams that have games on both sides of that. There's 7 and 5 games. So that's pretty good. Now, maybe some guys rest if they're going to go away for the All-Star break and teams don't play them on Thursday. I think it depends on matchups. It's not always a given, but it is something to be kind of on the lookout for. Even if they're not in the All-Star weekend, sometimes if someone's got a nagging injury or whatever, I have seen them just kind of rest a little early because, you know, the fitness squad want to give them an extra day, a little extra time. It can happen. So be alert on Thursday. Anyway, with that in mind, the top tier teams I'm going after, if I can, I'm looking at the Clippers, Milwaukee, and New Orleans. They all have that Tuesday, Thursday set up, but they are also all part of 3-game week. So if you pick them up, you're going to hopefully get them. I mean, Monday's 9 games. It's not that many anyway. So hopefully you can get all 3 games out of them, but they also play on the lower volume days. So that means you can sub someone else from your roster that you probably already have in for Wednesday. Now, it's worth noting, while I think they're the best for the start of the week, if you can't make changes in the middle, like Yahoo, it lets you in your weekly lock league. I mean, it lets you make changes. ESPN in the past, I don't think has. I don't know if that's changed because you got to be playing on ESPN, which I don't think is the most popular fantasy basketball format, but plenty of viewers do play on there. And you got to also be playing a weekly lock league. That combo doesn't seem to come up too much in the audience. Although if you are, let me know. I always like to know what the demographics of our gamers are here. Anyway, if you're in that scenario, Milwaukee only has 1 game next week. So while they're a good streaming option for the front half where they have 3, because they only have 1, you would want to make a switch here before next week because you're not going to get a lot of bang for that buck. Also, there's not a ton of Milwaukee guys out there on waivers that you can really pick up unless you're going after Ibaka. The second team of teams I have to go after are all the other teams with 2 games on that Tuesday, Thursday setup. So we're talking Charlotte, Dallas, Miami, and Philly. So if you get any of those teams there, you get both of the lower volume days. You can work them into your lineup. I wish some of them had 3 games for the second half of the week, but they don't. And that's where you want to look at the super week. If you don't have that many waiver moves, if that doesn't reset in your league over the weekend for the second part of fantasy week 18, be aware of that. Look at the super schedule. Look at the teams that you can get that play 5 games to make those moves. It minimizes what you have to do. It also, even if it does reset, it frees up some moves for you for at the end of the next half of week 18, if that makes any sense, if you're still with me. Frees up moves so that you can get ready for fantasy week 19. If you can think ahead and find some people you like that play the 5 games, that will get you a slight advantage, but not as much as being able to stream guys in and out and get the in and off days. A lot of people kind of forget when it's All-Star break and takes it easy. This week isn't weighted any less than other weeks. So if you pay attention, you still get this win here. It still affects your ability to make it into the playoffs. And that's going to do it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. You got questions, comments, leave them down below. Questions about what I think about the trade deadline, go ahead and leave it. If you guys want me to still do a whole video extemporaneously talking about thoughts from the trade deadline, happy to do it if there's enough of groundswell to support it. Otherwise, I'll stick to the normal format. And you'll see me back here this weekend breaking down the waiver wire to help you get ready for the All-Star break. Thank you so much for watching. Get ready for week 17 to go out and win your week. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. It helps me grow the channel. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe or even the little bell will give you alerts. And I'll be back soon with another video for you.